Human survival instincts are wired for loud, active threats. For thousands of years, survival meant running from predators chasing us through the dark. But nature also developed the passive ambush predator. These hunters don't chase. They stay perfectly still and rely entirely on the quiet art of the lure. This diagram illustrates the core mechanism of a passive trap. The stationary dark crescent creates a localized vacuum, a magnetic pull that tricks the prey into moving forward of its own narrow focus. This strategy is highly effective against insects and fish. However, the stakes change when these biological hunting tactics are applied to human psychology. A predator that waits for an invitation is often more successful than one that relies on brute force. In 2020, a family moved into a sprawling, quiet house in Ohio. Tucked behind a door in the kitchen was a feature omitted from the real estate listing, a narrow staircase leading down to a single-room, concrete basement. At the bottom of those stairs was a physical impossibility, a door made entirely of shadow. It had no hinges, contained no metal, and no handle. The father dismissed the absurdity with a joke, suggesting the previous owner had simply gotten creative. By reframing a terrifying architectural anomaly as a creative quirk, the family successfully neutralized their own alarm response. This psychological dismissal allowed the trap to sit in the heart of their home, unchallenged and uninvestigated, until it was ready to trigger. Days passed without incident. Then, at exactly 3:07 a.m., the environment transitioned into an active crisis. The trigger began with soft whispers and the sound of small footsteps descending toward the basement. These sounds create an agonizing ambiguity, which is often more effective at drawing a person out than a loud, overt threat. A scream might have kept the father upstairs to call for help, but a whisper demands a closer look. The ambiguity pulled him out of bed and directly into the trap's activation zone. His daughter's bedroom was empty. This realization triggers a biological override. When a parent perceives a threat to their child, the brain deprioritizes personal fear to focus entirely on the child's survival. He ran toward the basement. The entity used no physical force. It simply utilized the father's own parental panic to move him exactly where it wanted him. The father reached the basement threshold. The shadow door was now slightly open. From the darkness inside, his daughter's voice called out to him, sounding impossibly calm and steady. When he asked why she was in there, the entity delivered a specific psychological hook: "Because you left me." This is weaponized guilt. The standard fear response pathway is suddenly overwritten by a massive protective override. As it expands, it forms loops of guilt and urgency that isolate the brain's logic node. This emotional bypass prevents rational assessment of the waiting danger. The entity was actively hacking the father's deepest vulnerabilities, blinding him as he prepared to step across the threshold. A sudden cognitive break occurred. "Dad?" The same voice called out from the stairs behind him. It was his real daughter, shaking and terrified. The father turned back toward the basement door. The darkness inside was shifting. A mimic stepped forward. It had the identical height, shape, and face of the girl upstairs. It tilted its head at an unnatural angle. It wore a wide, distorted smile and whispered a final taunt. "You almost came." The predator's mimicry demonstrates a calculated understanding of its prey. It knew exactly who it had to become to ensure the bait was taken. The father retreated and locked the basement, but the family remained trapped in the house with a chronic threat. Every night at 3:07 a.m., the door opens. The entity waits, repeating its weaponized plea not to be left behind with relentless patience. This is empathic exploitation. The predator relies entirely on the victim's capacity for love as its primary hunting tool. Our own instinct to protect the people we love serves as the final, most inescapable component of the trap.